Okay, my friends, I'm making a big joke out of this.
Oh, hey, Roger, been a while. And you're making a joke out of something, are you? Well, what a coinky-dink. Me too. All the time, really. And today it's gonna be the opinions of someone you probably know. And someone almost as stupid as me. Almost. There can be only one.
That I have now discovered that I have extremely high IQ.
Wait, what? So you joked that you have a high IQ and now you have discovered that that's actually true? Oh God, please don't tell me. Let me guess. The way you discovered this, it wasn't some kind of online survey, was it? 'Cause dude, those don't work. No, seriously, they literally don't have the capacity to give you an even remotely accurate IQ score. So unless you went to a psychologist licensed to give the test, because it's so much more than just questions, then what you have been is duped. And I seriously doubt you would go to someone to get tested. I mean, this video alone is probably going to demonstrate why quite nicely.
139 instead of 136 puts me way over the 98th percentile.
Where did you get the other IQ score from? Who told you 136? And why is that one wrong, but your new one is right? Because, you know, it's not about accrued knowledge, right? People don't tend to get smarter. In fact, the older you get, the dumber you tend to bend towards as your mental faculties fail you. And to be fair, if it was about someone gaining more and more accurate knowledge, I would have thought the latest test would have come out at about a 5, which definitely would have put you in some kind of percentile.
Which is for Mensa.
Oh, Roger, if you were as smart as you think you are, you might realise that no one gives much of a shit about Mensa. I mean, it's a nice thing to have on your headboard to impress random strangers when you bang them, or whatever it is people do with their Mensa certificates. But it's just a social club. They don't really do anything of note. It's just an excuse to hang out with people on your level, so to speak. But considering the shit you believe, I really doubt that's what you would find there, mate.
So I have every right to peer review others.
You're going to peer review others? Not their work, not their papers, not their ideas. The people. Roger, that's not what peer review is. Not even close. What are you even doing? Is this because people have said, Roger, you need to go through some kind of peer review if you want people to take you seriously? And your response to that was, no, you. You can't peer review me if I peer review you first. Not how this works, Roger. Isn't it funny how Mr. Mensa Smart over here has no idea what something is and why they use it?
And this is what I will peer review. I'm starting a whole new channel, or I'll either put it on a sub-channel or something, but we're going to have...
Roger, I have seen you using computers, and if you can do that without falling down and breaking both your arms in the process, well, I'll be surprised. I mean, you don't even know how to write a list and put it on a notepad instead of on a sheet of paper and sticking it to your screen. But sure, you do that. I am certain it will be wildly successful. No, wait, the other S word. Yes, that one.
An open line broadcast, Zoom meetings, where we will discuss
how to interact with electronic equipment without the use of a feather. We're pretty sure it's impossible, but if we try hard enough, one day, maybe we'll free ourselves of the burden of having to hunt down a flock of seagulls with a machine gun in the hope that we manage to find one unbloodied feather that we can then use to jab our monitor with, for reasons that no man could possibly understand.
What the experts know and don't know. Because I'm telling you right now, the experts you're relying on,
they call out Roger's bullshit, which means they must be the big stupid. Because, as we established earlier, Roger has an IQ of some level. And fine, let's just say that you're right and it's pretty high. In fact, let's just say that it's the highest in the land. So f***ing what, Roger? IQ is only as useful as its application. You could be the smartest guy in the room, but if the only things you talk about are nonsensical gibberish, then you're just going to sound like a lunatic.
Virtually every one of these categories, I give them a failure.
Roger, I don't know what this list is supposed to be, but it sure as shit ain't peer review. This just seems to be your list of things that reaffirms your belief that scientists are bad because well, Roger doesn't trust any scientist. At all, really. That's why I doubt so very much that anyone qualified enough to administer an accurate IQ test would immediately make him run away shrieking in terror from the bad smarty pants person. But no, much like IQ testing, peer review is a process, so a simple list of vague questions would not constitute anything like it. It's a process that's designed to weed out bad ideas from good ones, and to weed out the mistakes made whilst applying the good ones, until we can find things that accurately reflect reality. You don't do that to people, because that doesn't make any f***ing sense.
They don't understand the subject matter. They have no broad knowledge in all the different areas that contribute to the matter that they're talking about.
Alright, fine, we're doing this, I guess. Well, turnabout is fair play, so let's do it to Roger. Let's see if he can. Do you pass this? What's the metric for a successful... Well, Roger's hardly my peer. What's the metric for a successful pleb review? Let's just try and get through it without punching our own heads off, because that sounds like a success to me. Understand subject matter. Well, Roger thinks that rocks are people/flesh/dragons, etc. So I think we're going to have to go with a no on that. In fact, I seriously doubt he has any knowledge on any subject matter ever. So, of course, 2, C1.
They're not open-minded whatsoever. It's just a complete denial.
Roger, ironically, while the phrase, if you open your mind too much, your brain will fall out, would appear to apply to you, it actually doesn't, because you are the opposite of open-minded. You think that your ideas are without flaw and above reproach, and no matter how many times people tell you your shit is silly, you cannot fathom of such a possibility.
Examine evidence. I've never had one of them examine any of my evidence.
Don't you constantly claim to have had your shit DNA certified or some such nonsense? Are you telling me that you didn't do that using a scientist? That would explain a lot. Roger wanders down to a back alley geologist/biologist/whatever else he wanted them to be, up on Meth Avenue, and surprisingly gets whatever results you want, baby. Almost like that person was more interested in your money than in accurate science. Oh, and meth, obviously. We will just call this a no, because whose evidence is he examining anyway?
Openly discuss opposing views? Absolutely not. Willing to debate Roger? Forget about it. They could never do it.
Okay, I'm going to lump these together. 1, people talking to you are discussing your ideas. What else is it other than doing that? And all you ever want to talk about is your nonsense, so... And debate? Seriously, don't turn into a debate me bro, Roger. That's an automatic failure right there, for even toying with the idea of joining one of the most annoying groups on the whole of the internet. Internet debate. Not even once.
They want solutions? No, they don't. They want to walk around in circles and collect money. They're driven by money. I want them to not be driven, but that's not the case.
What? How do you even know that? And maybe you aren't driven by money. Maybe. But you are certainly driven by something, and it appears to be ego, considering your inability to accept that people don't buy your idea out of hand without heavily scrutinizing and criticizing it. How dare they? But even if they were purely 100% driven by money, well, you know what gets you the money in science? Being fucking right. And even if that wasn't the case, and you got it for some other reason that probably wouldn't make any sense in the long term, as how do you make a product that people want that doesn't work, unless of course you are a cable company /AAA games publisher. But even in that world, just because someone was driven to make money, that wouldn't actually mean that they were wrong. Because again, that's not how that works, Roger.
Willing to share? No, they want to hide things and patent things. A lot of these people that are out for profit.
Right, and of course you don't want to profit from your hard work. You just want everyone to see what a big-brained smart guy you are and prove to the world that everyone is wrong but you. You know that there are things that can be considered profiting other than monetary gain, right? But also, really, you expect all scientists to work on and put out everything for free for no reason. Well, I can see why you might think that sounds like a reasonable ask, because the amount of work you put into your discoveries is you wake up, you find a rock, you see that rock kinda looks like an egg. You say the rock is an egg, you go back to bed. Unfortunately, real science is a tiny bit more involved than that, Not only does it tend to require significant amounts of time and money put into an individual's education, it also requires someone wanting to fund that science, and if they are funding it, they will probably want some return on investment. Now, would it be nice if everyone could get their work paid for and be able to freely give out that work immediately? Yeah, but unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. But the idea that somehow makes the science or the person doing it bad or wrong is just dumb, Roger.
I am not out for profit. I'm out for knowledge. I'm out for truth. I'm out for understanding.
And yet you've achieved none of those. Maybe you should try going for the profit. Maybe an incentive that can be quantified would be just the kick in the arse you need to get your head out of it and actually do some real goddamn science with that massive IQ of yours, instead of this puppet show of science you have been doing all these years with your rock giants and your oversized super dragons and whatever new fanciful idea you decide is totally real science guy today. You know what? That's not fair. Puppet shows require actual effort. You're more like the hungover clown vomiting and screaming obscenities at strangers of science.
And with the knowledge and the so forth that I have been shown, it has been denied.
Not denied, Roger. Refuted. And probably explained where you're going wrong and asked about peer review, which is where you got the terrible idea to do this travesty of a video from. Because you don't know what peer review is, and yet you expect to be taken seriously by any science or anybody. And I bet you will wonder why I am one of the only people who continues to interact with you. You see, Roger, this video is your idea of peer review, but for you, because it's being done by a dumbass.
With my extremely high IQ.
Okay, dial it in, Roger. Don't want you going all supervillain on me. Can just see it now. Maybe he does make a breakthrough and actually brings the stone giants and dragons back from the dead, and then uses them to wage war on the rest of humanity. And I, for one, welcome our giant overlords, and the sweet embrace of death that comes with them. But I have a funny feeling I'll be waiting a while for them to arrive.
It's time to take into account Roger, and I will be the one making the decision who is a peer and who isn't, because I right now stand above them.
Yeah, what did I say about ego? Roger, mate, in science you don't get to choose who your peers are. That's again, and I'm getting tired of saying these words to you, not how that works. If you actually did some actual sciencing on your rocks and wrote some goddamn papers and published them and everything a proper scientist is supposed to do, then any and every scientist gets to weigh in on your work, not just the ones you decide are smart enough, but all of them. And frankly, Roger, if you ever pull your thumb out of your arse and actually do that, assuming that they even notice that you exist, they're going to tear your ideas to shreds, because a cursory glance from a total dipshit like me can see the gaping flaws in your arguments. I can't imagine what an actual smart person would see, but I'm sure it won't be pretty.
All right, I was always taught that...
Right. Wait a minute there, Roger. First off, nice transition. Glad to see that as your IQ increases by leaps and bounds, you at no point had any extra of those to spare for a bit of improved presentation. And two, you were taught. I mean, you've said a lot of silly things in this video today, but now you're just being ridiculous.
You go to school to learn truth.
Truth? Depends what you mean by truth. Do you mean the truth, TM? When no, that's what church or whatever is for. If you mean facts, kinda, but only in so much as a basic version of the current understanding of topics, and that basic version is often not super accurate, but just more understandable for young minds. But really, what you go to school for is to learn how to learn and to prove to a prospective employer or whatever that you have the capacity to retain information. It's not until you go to like uni and all that jazz that you start learning the bleeding edge and super complicated shit. But apparently you didn't even learn the learning bit. So I don't see you doing very well there.
And they are going to be examining everything that they can find that's going to have any truth to it. Well,
wait, who's going to be examining what they find? The school or the kids? Or what? You know, I don't know why I even ask. It's not like he's going to have any impact on anything else he was going to say. I mean, it's not about rocks or DNA. So what's the betting that he immediately changes the subject afterwards to that? And I'm going to put $10 down, but you know what? Just a tip. I've got a feeling that you should all bet on the other one. I'm probably wrong, and this is definitely relevant, and I'm going to lose $10 and not win all of your money. Nope.
DNA tests that are extremely valid are normally considered truth.
Ha! F***ing got you, you trusting fools. You owe me all the monies. Don't worry, I take payment in the form of you buying sick brand merch, and if you can't afford that, then the people who can need to buy too. Look, I don't make the rules, I just enforce them, with great pleasure and no small amount of arousal.
This was on a DNA test, and that's a lung. Yale University, I'm sure they have somebody there, an anatomist, that could look at that and understand that is a lung, the pattern of a lung, and that is the depression of the heart.
I bet you f***ing right, mate. I bet you, an actually competent biology chap, would probably either very kindly explain to you that that's a rock and then have you guided out to make sure you don't hurt yourself by using too much brain power to open a door, or they will laugh at you incredibly obnoxiously for showing them the funny prank that you are definitely doing. Probably spraying you with crumbs from the baguette they are eating when you ambushed them.
I have anatomists, some of the best in the world that I work with. Literally the best in the world.
Who's guessing that they either aren't the best or you don't work with them? Possibly even both. Otherwise, you might, give us a name or something so we can ask them and find out their qualifications and figure out if they are, in fact, the best in the world? Or are they just a guy who works in the biscuit aisle of Aldi supermarket? I really wonder which one is your true peer, Roger.
Wait, before you go, I have something super important to tell you. It's life or death. It will change everything forever. Nope, wait, it's gone. Oh well, probably wasn't important. But while I have you, don't forget to comment, subscribe and notify. And if you want more of my smexy voice, check out Mrs. Six's channel Spoonstaff Stories, where I narrate and voice all the videos, and she does the work. And if you want to support the channel, check out the merch store for cool t-shirts, or check out Patreon, memberships and PayPal to support directly. Finally, follow me on the medias of social to get completely pointless guff and to keep up on the latest releases. Oh, I just remembered what I was going to tell you. Whatever you do, don't touch the